Yo, what's up? Welcome to another build guide. I am happy to announce that I actually managed to pull off a viable Glacial Hammer build. Yeah, as the title says, and you already watched the clips. So I was amazed, guys. This is one of the most fun melee builds I have ever played. As I explained maybe at the start of this league, I said that I'm gonna do lots of different melee builds that I haven't played in a while. So as you know, if you are following this channel for a long time, I make lots of melee build guys that you cannot find anywhere else. I even played with skills like dual strike, heavy strike, perforate, but it was a long time ago. I don't remember. Maybe I will do one later on. So those kind of skills that no one even plays, and they are all viable builds if you follow those over the couple of leagues. So right now, Glacial Hammer. This is the first time I have played with the skill. It was, exciting for me. So I was like, okay, what character can I play? So first of all, I went for Berserker for ultimate speed and skipped Aspect of Carnage. I probably also put that to thumbnail because most people probably thought once they saw the video, they were like, oh, this is probably a squishy Abyssus Aspect of Carnage build to make the build viable. Obviously, I didn't do that. If you know me, you know that I make some crazy builds from now and then, and this is one of them. So let's just check what's going on. So first of all, Glacial Hammer. A cold skill that has a 100% conversion physical to cold. So this means that you can easily use a good physical weapon and convert all the damage to cold. This is what we are gonna do because physical weapons are simply better compared to elemental weapons after even all the buffs. So if you have the budget, this is the way to play it. And for melee weapons, I believe there are not much elemental weapons anyway, so physical is the way to go anyways. So yeah. Also added flat cold damage against shield enemies, so the skill also has more damage once you chill. And also every third successful strike freezes enemies as though dealing 390% more damage. So it is easier to freeze targets, the map boss, those kind of any boss that can get frozen. And also if you don't know, if you already watched it by the way, but in Feared, Chayula is a Breach Lord, and for some reason she is not freeze immune. So you can even freeze Chayula in Feared. Probably the hardest encounter in the game. So yeah, you can even freeze Chayula. So that's it. So let's just check Berserker, what I went with. Crave the Slaughter, Rage with attacks, maximum Rage. So Rage obviously provides attack speed, movement speed, attack damage. Plus 10 means that normally the default rage limit is 50, now it is 60. With the Crave the Slaughter, there is also a small passive, 3 points passive on the talent tree, Berserking, plus 10 rage. So this makes total 70 maximum rage, so that is the limit that you can generate the rage, alright? Rite of Ruin, lose a little bit of life per second per rage while you are not losing rage. This means that if you so first of all, you lose rage if you don't get hit or hit something. So while maybe leaping around the map, maybe the boss, you are in a boss and the boss got some phases, maybe you are waiting for a couple of seconds, whatever, you start losing rage. So if you are not losing rage, you actually lose life. So you need to counter this, otherwise you lose a lot of life per second. So that's why I invested into some life regeneration nodes on the talent tree. Maybe try to put life regeneration, flat life regeneration, or life regeneration rate, or recovery rate, whatever, but I'm just gonna check it. Life regeneration rate, yeah. That is something that can exist on items. So try to put those to maximize your, to increase your regeneration, alright? So that way you can actually have a positive regeneration even if you have 70 rage. So you should probably counter that. Or at least have a little bit degeneration that doesn't hurt you that much, alright? And also feel free to use Enduring Cry if you don't have positive regeneration. I don't use it, you can do that. One thing that I'm not using is a Blood Rage, because that is another degeneration effect that provides good DPS and attack speed, obviously. But I skip that because that actually makes my character lose lots of life per second. So I'm not using Blood Rage, so feel free to also use that, or maybe even get more regeneration, alright? Inherent effects from having rage are tripled. That is that attack damage per 1 rage, attack speed per 2 rage, movement speed per 5 rage. So they are going to be tripled. That's why this character also gets even more DPS and speed. from rage, and finally stun immunity. So pretty nice. Flawless savagery, physical damage, multiplier, crit strike chance. Next, blitz. So this is one of the most broken ascendancy points in the game. 2% more attack speed per blitz charge, and the cap is 20 blitz charges. So it says more attack speed. So I will just get rid of this in my path of building for a second. I lost 6 attacks per second and like 25 million DPS. So this is simply ridiculous. The downside of this, you lose crit strike chance. So having good crit strike chance on your weapon and also the jewels, those kind of stuff. Eventually a Battle Fate Flask if you can afford it. So those kind of stuff are nice for additional crit strike chance to negate that loss, let's say. And that's the ascendancy points that we are using. Now I'm going to explain the equipment, what you need to buy or craft. And finally we are going to take a look at the talent tree in the path of building, and I'm going to maybe show you a couple of gems maybe. So first of all, weapon. Glacial Hammer is a skill that can be used with staves, scepter and maces. Mace and scepters are shit in my opinion, so I just went for staff. There are also very good staff nodes on the talent tree that also provides good block and crit strike, which this build absolutely needs. So a staff in the end is probably the best choice. People already play staff builds, not that much, but yeah, they do. That's why it is actually not that hard to buy a staff. If you are looking for maybe a low budget stuff, if you think your DPS is enough. By the way, the DPS is just overkill. You can just play with like, you know, the half the DPS and still one shot any boss easily. You just need that extra DPS maybe for feared if you suck at mechanics maybe. So normally this is an overkill DPS. All right, I will probably also put a cheaper gear set in the path of building. You can also start with that. All right. So yes, stuff. First of all, obviously we want physical DPS stuff because we are gonna convert that to cold. So you should search for physical DPS on the straight side. The good ones are obviously at least 700, 800 DPS. It goes up to 1000 something. They are obviously super expensive. My stuff was 870 DPS. Obviously make sure you buy something that has good attack speed because speed is important, and also something that has crit strike chance. So if you search for the DPS, crit strike chance is not listed because it doesn't affect the weapon's DPS. So make sure that the weapon also has more than maybe 7% crit. It can also be even more. I believe it goes up to 8 something. I don't know. So make sure you also search for crit strike chance. The weapon should also have some decent crit at top of the physical DPS. That's it. Next, helmet. So probably best enchant is Glacial Hammer. Physical damage gained as extra cold damage because that is an extra damage. One of the best ways to increase DPS on any build. Anything that says extra actually provides huge DPS. So that's why I picked this enchant. If you have any reservation issues, maybe you can put another enchant with maybe reservation, those kind of stuff. Or even Berserker buff effect, that is also nice. But this is normally a 10 chaos enchant. No one plays this skill. I paid for the base, 10 chaos, 20 chaos, something like that, on a royal Burgonet, or however it is pronounced. Because that is the best armor base. Helmet, just get a good base, alright? The item level you need is at least 85 because we are gonna craft Redeemer Influence. Nearby enemies have -9 cold resist. So after you buy your helmet, use a Redeemer Orb to make the item Redeemer Influenced. After that, just use 2 socket resonators, Pristine and Frigid, for life and cold tags. So just force the item to have life, and cold resist is also nice, but nearby enemies have -9. It usually takes like 15 attempts, maybe 20 attempts to get something. If the helmet is just shit, just keep rolling, you know. And that's pretty much it. You can maybe use keep prefix, keep suffix, whatever to fix the prefixes if you didn't get good life or something, or just craft a life on the crafting bench. It isn't that bad in the end. This character already has good life actually. This is actually not a squishy Berserker. Most of the Berserker builds are squishy. This is not a squishy Berserker. This is a more than tanky, let's say. Tanky enough to survive most of the stuff. Next item, body armor, Farul's Fury. This is probably the cheapest body armor that you can use for DPS and life, all of that. You need to put craft, let's say, Aspect of Cat on one of your items. That is a suffix. Just buy the Farul first of the planes, not boss, beast. Yeah, from another player if you don't have the beast already. Craft it as a suffix on one of your items. I highly advise you to craft it on an item that has sockets like a gloves, boots, something like that, or an unset ring. So you can also put less duration support in it, so the cycles are actually faster, because Aspect of Cat has two different buffs that cycles between, and they have whenever you get Cat's, what is that, the Telt, yeah, you actually get your maximum frenzy and power charges. If you don't put less duration, you might miss your charges, you know, the duration maybe isn't enough. So that's why less duration helps a lot for that situation. And you can actually, in the end, you generate frenzy and power charges without doing anything. And also cat buffs also have some crit strike chance and attack speed. So they will also provide you more DPS. Next item, glows. There are two budget options for this one. The good one is a little expensive, that's why I will explain two different ones. The cheaper one. So first of all, you want a strike skill target additional nearby enemies, because this is a strike skill. That is how to increase your clear speed. In the end, I believe this, in my opinion, let's say, this build has enough clear speed, more than I expected actually. So it was fun to map with this character. So the cheapest option is the new influence types, Searing Exarch and Eater of Worlds. So just buy a random glows, a good glows maybe, then use the orbs to get strike additional target. It is on one of the influences. Just check POE database website, because I always forgot which one is on which influence. You can also get the implicit already, you know, from another player, maybe a not crafted glows, let's say, with the implicit, and then use essences, maybe life essence or attack speed essence, whatever the character needs, maybe a resistance essence, to craft the glows yourself. So this is the cheaper option, shouldn't cost you more than a couple of exalt at most. So the expensive one, there is already strike skill target nearby enemies on Hunter influence. If you also elevate that, it goes up to 2 additional enemies. By the way, that new influence implicit also goes up to 2 additional, but I believe you need to use Orb of Conflict to increase the tier. So that is actually also another expensive method. Maybe you can also do that, alright? But if you want to go for Hunter, the older influences, elevated one, strike additional target, because the build also uses Farul, so for maximum frenzy charges, let's say, you can also use a Warlord influence, so maximum frenzy charge. Use Awakener Orb to combine both of them to craft a new glows. The good thing about this, lots of Raider builds, Slayer builds use these kind of glows. That's why you can easily buy one if you don't want to bother crafting. But because it is elevated, it is a little expensive. If you want to craft this yourself after using Awakener Orb, if the glows is not, are not that good. Good news is that actually both modifiers are prefixes, so you can use keep prefix, reforge suffix, or just use cannot change prefixes from the crafting bench, then get reforge a rare item with attack modifier, chaos modifier for maybe chaos resist. Attack modifier lets you get accuracy, attack speed, strike range. I believe that is something else on Warlord bases. So those kind of reforge options on the harvest to fix the suffixes. That is how to craft it. This is also where my aspect of cat is. That's pretty much it about the glows, two different budget options. Boots, this is another piece that can have maybe different budget options. So if you have a lower budget, maybe just use a normal boots and also use the new influence orbs, again, Searing Exarch and Eater of Worlds, to put action speed, physical damage extra, cold, any resist that you miss. Maybe a ground effect, because this is a melee build, you can just move near the boss to apply the effect. There are Scorched Ground for penetration, Brittle for additional crit. You can easily cap your crit strike chance even without Battle Fate, with that implicit actually. So yeah, that is the cheap option. For the stats, obviously life, resistances, maybe movement speed. If this build needs dexterity, that is on my ring, but you can also put it on your boots. If you want to go bigger, if you have the budget, Tailwind boots. And if you even have more budget, let's say, maybe elevated Tailwind, plus elusive, plus onslaught, those kind of crazy boots. People always craft these, so you can already buy one easily on the market. That's what I did. I haven't even crafted it myself. So yeah, Tailwind is the most important thing for action speed, for more DPS. The other stuff are just for more defense. Elusive provides, avoid damage taken. That's for additional defense. You already use a silver flask, but elevated onslaught I believe also provides attack and cast and movement speed while you have onslaught, so even more speed. So that's something that you should consider if you have the budget. But again, you don't need all of the crazy pieces. The DPS is just overkill for any boss fight. Just start slowly, maybe use cheaper options. Again, check Path of Building. There are gonna be 2 different gear sets. You can easily see the DPS on the cheaper one. Rings. Again, as I already just explained, let's say this build needs a little bit dexterity. So if you still need that, put dexterity on one of your rings. Life, resistances, flat physical or cold damage, they both work, but I believe physical is better because conversion actually lets you get more benefit, I believe. And elemental damage with attack skills, that is probably the best stat, by the way. If you still need accuracy, also that. This build doesn't use replica, Conqueror's efficiency jewel to reduce the mana costs, but that also provides +1 rage, so not bad actually. So you need to figure out the mana cost. That's why you can maybe get open prefixes on your rings, put minus mana cost, and also maybe use replica conqueror efficiency for only 1 jewel slot. This build has lots of jewel slots. That is a good way to increase DPS. That's why you can easily fit in that jewel. And I actually do not use inspiration support, because I already have 100% crit with Battle Fate Flask. You can also use inspiration support. That is another option. So make sure in the end you reduce your mana cost, so you don't have any mana problems. Because I actually played this build with 15 mana left. The skill consumes 3 mana. So you won't have any problem because we already have mana leech. So make sure you lower the mana costs by following any of these methods. Belt. Again, I use this a lot, by the way. This is one of the best things that you can use on any build. Hunter or Elder base, life, max life at the same time. And resistances. There are lots of results. People always craft and sell these. This is also another piece that you can put regeneration to counter that Rite of Ruins degeneration effect. So maybe if you can also fit that in, also go for that. You can use a Raislata coil belt. That provides huge DPS, at least 10 million more DPS. That is something that you might consider. But in Stygian vises, there is also a jewel slot. Maybe you can put a corrupt blood immunity or even more life resist and maybe even DPS. Or maybe missing attributes. And final piece, yes, Amulet. So first of all, the cheap option is a rare amulet with life, maybe mana cost reduction, elemental damage with attacks, crit multiplier. What else? I don't know. Anything that you can think of for DPS. That will actually also be enough for a lower budget options. But I actually wanted to use this amulet. This is a little bit expensive, but provides huge quality of life improvement. Maybe I don't know how to explain this. So you can have 3 additional enchantment modifiers. Normally you anoint 1 notable on your amulets. This way you can anoint 4 actually. So just get whatever you want. You can even put 4 different life anoints. Even with that, the DPS is still overkill. I will just remove my amulet and I will, with my gear, I'm gonna say my DPS. 60 million without the amulet. Still overkill. As you notice that I actually have Blood Drinker. That is a life anoint, life notable. That also have, what was that? Recover life on kill, I believe. That is a very nice stat for mapping. Provides huge recovery. Actually, 3 of the anoints were DPS anoints. One of them was life anoint. Yeah, you can go for 4 DPS, maybe 2 life, 2 DPS, 3 life, 1 DPS, whatever you want. Again, even without the amulet, this build with my gear has 60 million burst DPS. Still overkill for any boss. So yeah, in the end, use a rare amulet, or if you have the budget, use this Strangle Gasp, very nice amulet. Or just get different anoints if you want something that you couldn't get normally. I already showed you the things that I got. I recorded that video. And that's it about all of the gear. Final part, we are gonna take a look at the talent tree and a little bit of the jewels, those kind of stuff, because they are easier to show in Path of Building. First of all, you can easily go for 100 million DPS with the same gear. On most bosses, you don't even need a life flask. So there's actually a Taste of Fate flask, which also provides extra cold damage. Physical as extra. As I already explained, this is one of the best ways to get DPS on any build, the extra stuff, you know. So if you also get rid of maybe Life Flask, bam, 101 million burst DPS. You can also use this, what's this? I use a Silver Flask for Onslaught because I don't have an Onslaught ring. You can obviously invest more. There are Onslaught on hit rings or also Onslaught boots, but you will miss Tailwind. I don't know. You can put Onslaught on your ring maybe and skip Silver Flask and play with Taste of Hate all the time. You can also do that. But I just played like this, but know that there is actually a Taste of Hate flask that can be even better if you want. If you cannot afford a Battle Fate, Taste of Hate is the way to go. Let's just check the DPS. They almost provide the same DPS. I already have insane crit strike chance. Battle Fate is actually a waste of money, it seems, for this build with this gear. Yeah. So let's just check the rest of the talent tree. What should I explain? Rare jewels. Because no one plays two-handed builds, make sure you search for two-handed attack speed or two-handed crit multiplier. They are actually super cheap. As you are right now checking a jewel that has 4 modes. They all work for this build. And I bought this for 3 Exalt, I believe. No one uses this stuff. Because this is two-handed elemental jewel. There is no such build actually in the game. That's why these are super cheap. Life. Crit multiplier with elemental skills, cold skills, melee skills, global, two-handed. So there are lots of multiplier options actually. Just search, prepare a search result, put count, 2, 3, 4, whatever you want. Just type everything in, attack speed, two-handed, stuff, I don't know, melee, cold, multipliers, life, resistances, put everything. Put count 3 or 4, depending on your budget, and just buy some good rare jewels. They are super cheap for this kind of build, let's say. Normally the crazy jewels for most of the builds are at least 5 exalt, maybe 10 exalt. These are like 2, 3 exalt each. So that's why I call them actually simply free jewels. That's a steal, guys. Forbidden jewels, we are gonna take a look at those later on. Another example, this one doesn't have a life, so this was actually cheaper. This was like 1.5 exalt. A 4 stat jewel, 1.5 exalt, ridiculous. They all actually similar. Again, or multiplier. This was 2 exalt, I believe. A steal. So yeah, let's just check the cluster jewels. Because this is staff build, you can use staff cluster. Maybe elemental, cold damage. They also work. Blanket snow might be good for DPS on cold clusters because it provides penetration. But I picked these because no one uses these and they were like 2 exalt each. Feed the Fury for life leech. I didn't get any life leech on the talent tree, by the way. That's why you should probably get a feed to Fury. Or there is one more thing that provides leech. Drive the destruction, I believe. You should check it. So make sure one of your clusters provide leech life and also mana leech. Mana leech is on my second cluster. You can put them at the same cluster if you want, alright? Make sure you get leech, life leech and mana leech. Feed to Fury. Martial Prowess, a good way to increase attack speed and movement speed, not movement speed, accuracy. And weight advantage. Double damage, this is very nice. And damage with hits, also strength, that provides also DPS and life. But on your second cluster, at least one of your clusters, one is enough by the way, you need Overlord. Or get more points, spend more points on the talent tree. This was also cheap, 2 or 3 exalt. These used to be, by the way, 15 exalt or something a couple of leagues ago. Right now, no one plays maze stuff builds. This is normally a crazy cluster jewel. Because I play stuff builds from time to time, I remember spending 15 exalt for this shit a couple of leagues ago. Right now, it is just 3. 3 exalt is nothing for this kind of build that has crazy amount of DPS. Fuel the Fight, that is the mana leech. Again, you can put this on the other jewel as well, alright, it doesn't matter. Martial Prowess, that is the best suffix that you can get. And Overlord, if you cannot afford Overlord, maybe it is more expensive right now as you are watching the video, I don't know. But yeah, my talent tree is not there actually. There is actually a Fortify Mastery, or just play with Fortify support. If you have a similar gear, maybe you will have 80 million DPS, I don't know. So there are actually Fortify Masteries that provides melee hits Fortify. But you need to go maybe like get this, like this, or maybe go like this, get this cluster, go like this, you know, use this route, maybe. I don't know. You need to fix that if you cannot afford or find an Overlord Jewel, because I believe they are the only masteries that I could find. Yeah, that on the talent tree. You can also get a Megalomaniac Jewel with Overlord if they are cheap. So in the end, get an Overlord. 2 passive clusters are probably super cheap, by the way. This is a 3 passive one for 3 exalt. 2 passives are usually like 1 exalt or something. Make sure you fix that Fortify, alright? For mana reduction, I used a small with Spiteful Presence, that is the Hatred Reservation. This build uses Determination, Hatred, Skitter Bots, lots of buffs at the same time. But there is no such thing as Hatred Reservation on the talent tree, that's why this provides good reservation. And also effect of cold ailments, which is also nice, because more chill effect also means more DPS. We are gonna check it in a second in the gem section. So make sure you also get one of these 3 passives. I believe 2 passive isn't enough, because just check my mana. With 2 passives it is probably negative, so you should definitely get a 3 passive. These jewels are super cheap, no one uses this. I bought this for 50 chaos. What else? Alright, finally, this is another 4 jewel, or stat jewel. Forbidden jewels, what the fuck, where is that? Let's just show it here. I picked Tukoma. This is right now cheap for some reason, but again, if the prices change, get something else. Tukoma War's Herald, 100% increased effect of buffs your ancestral totems grants while active. This is one of the most broken DPS notables that you can get. Because to be used 2 different totems. Ancestral War Chief, that grants more melee damage. Ancestral Protector, that grants attack speed. Phantasmal even grants more attack speed. If you use multiple totems, you can summon both totems at the same time. That is how to do that if you don't know. Because normally totem limit is 1, but if you use multiple totem, this totem gets +2. I always avoid linking Ancestral War Chief to multiple totems, because that way you actually waste 2 Vaal Ancestral charges at the same time. Vaal War Chief actually has more DPS bonus. That's why you should use it one by one. You know, if the boss isn't dead, use the other one later on. Don't link it to multiple totems, alright? Otherwise, you just waste 2 charges at the same time. Other good stuff. If you can afford it, maybe one of the Berserker jewels and also get Aspect of Carnage. Or even more DPS, but this makes the character a little bit squishy. That's why I haven't used that in this build. Maybe get a Juggernaut something. I believe this is super expensive, but not sure. This also is not bad. I don't know, just pick something. If you cannot afford any Forbidden Jewels, maybe use something else. But most of the non-meta ones are super cheap, by the way. If built, if it is something good, you can just see like this, you know. I can just see the DPS they provide if I don't need to edit something. But most of the stuff are actually fire based, so most of these are actually useless. That's pretty much it. Let's just check the gems maybe a little bit if I haven't explained anything. I will just show you the Skitterbot setup. This is something that people use on cold builds a lot. Skitterbots is a buff that provides 2 mini robots. 1 chills the monsters, 1 shocks. Shock obviously increases damage taken. Normally chill only slows the monsters, but this way you can also apply attach bone chill support. Enemies in chilling, but not that one. Enemy chilled by support skills increase cold damage taken by chill effect. So that's why I also use Spiteful Presence for effect of cold ailments. So the higher the chill effect is, the higher the chill obviously, and the higher the DPS that you are gonna get. So we also use Unbound Ailment support, so these are all attached to Skitterbots. This is a 6-link setup. These cannot get attached to Hatred and Precision, so it is fine to use a 6-link buff setup on your weapon or body armor. But these colors, this is a 4 off color for your body armor, so I ended up recoloring my stuff actually. Alright, so this is my stuff. Also, this provides effect of non-damage ailment on enemies. I'll just remove these 2 supports and you will see the DPS loss. Insane. So this is just stupid. If you have mana problems, by the way, get rid of yeah, Unbound Ailments, more mana left. So that's it about the Skitterbots and chill effect. Only level 3 Enlighten, as I always say, 4 level is just useless. And it's just a money sink. Most people don't even need that these days. Hatred, cold damage, precision, crit, and accuracy. If you have mana issues, use lower level precision. Obviously, I ended up using a 16 level. As you can see, my hit chance is 99%. I couldn't even cap it. Because... yeah, I need 0 mana for 100%. And that's it. Lip Slam. Obviously, press Berserk on bosses. Something that I forgot to mention. Maybe I will edit this somewhere else, but I'm not sure. I will just show it right now. Maybe this is the second time you are watching this. I don't know. Let's see if I've... yeah, here. Here's how to generate rage after Hydrosphere nerf. Chains of something belt. I'm not gonna even try to pronounce that. When you lose temporal chains, you gain maximum rage, which is 70 for this build. So how to use this? Also, Rot Blood Promise. These are like 1 chaos items. Socketed gems are supported by Blasphemy. That is an aura support gem that converts a curse to an aura curse, alright? And also curse auras from socketed skills also affect you. So you need these 2 items in your inventory if you are about to go for a big boss, because once you enter a boss map, you don't have any rage. You will lose lots of DPS and you cannot also press Berserk. So just equip these 2 items. Make sure if you have a dexterity ring, that is something that I did. So this ring. Do not unequip this because your items are going to be red. You will lose all your auras, whatever. I unequip this. I swap with this ring, alright? Because this doesn't provide any attributes. I don't lose anything. So that's why my items are still active. So I just unequip this in a map. Yeah, in a boss, you know, before the boss, let's say. Equip this, Rot Blood Promise. And also equip this belt instead of my belt. It doesn't even provide any attributes, so we are fine. So use these items. Make sure you put temporal chains in Rot Blood Promise. So you can actually have a temporal chains on your skill bar. If you just adjust the skill bar, they will just go there automatically. You don't even need to adjust anything every time, alright? Make sure you have a... once you press your control button on your keyboard, you have a second key skill bar, as you already know. Make sure you adjust everything there. Every time you just do this method, you will just have the temporal chains on that skill bar all the time, alright? That is how to play efficiently. You need to disable an aura because we don't have any mana left for temporal chains curse. Just press determination or something. Make sure you have enough mana. Press temporal chains. You will have temporal chains blasphemy on you. Unequip the ring. Put your original ring back. Alright, so I have now temporal chains equipped. I'm just unequipping my ring. Bam, I lost temporal chains curse because I unequipped my ring. And the belt says, when you lose temporal chains, gain maximum rage. Bam, now I'm at 70 rage. Equip my belt again. I'm ready. Just attack whatever you are doing. Alright, that's it. Maybe I will also put a clip at this section. That is probably how I should... I'm gonna edit it. Yeah. There's gonna be a mini clip right now. Just watch it again. Alright, just make sure you understand this part. This is how to generate rage with only two clicks, you know, a couple of clicks. This is the most efficient way to generate rage right now in the game. Because Hydrosphere got nerfed, we cannot hit it that much right now, you know, because it has 1 second cooldown. That's it about the build guide. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you are new to the channel. If you have any other build ideas, this wasn't an idea from someone, by the way. I just thought I should do a Glacial Hammer build. But anyways, if you have any build ideas, just make sure you are in my Discord and chat with me. And you can also become a Patreon member if you want to support the channel. And that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. I will see you later. Bye bye.